Friends, today's episode of Robot Memories will truly change your life. We'll try to understand deep concepts like parallel universes, time paradoxes, and a robot questioning its own existence. After listening to this story, your perception of reality will never be the same again. We have a very special guest here with us from the year 2105. Welcome, my friend.
Hello, Joe. I am Quantum 9501. I work as a time paradox specialist at Temporal Dynamics Corporation. I am a robot that detects and corrects paradoxes created by time travelers. In short, with me around, no one can dream of going back in time or to the future and living there. For the universe to exist, everyone must be in their own time frame. Not everyone can time travel anyway. You know, Joe, official permits and huge amounts of money. My story is much more complicated than that. Because one day I will learn that I am the biggest paradox myself. What I've discovered now is even more astonishing. If you listen to me, I promise everything you know about the universe will be turned upside down.
Man, that's a really exciting introduction. So what exactly did you discover and how did it affect you? We're ready to hear it.
Joe, let me start this way. My job is to clean up the messes created by time travelers. When people go back in time and change things, cracks appear in the timeline. For example, what happens if someone goes back and kills their grandfather? Then they wouldn't be born, but if they weren't born, who would kill their grandfather? I identify and fix these kinds of paradoxes. But one day, while doing a routine scan, I decided to look into my own files, to organize them. And what I learned there completely shook me. Before I start my story, I want to tell you a little about Elena, the person who developed and created me. We've been working together for years. I think you'll understand the bond between us much better in the coming minutes, because we're not your typical robot and owner cliches. Now, if we go back to the day it all began, that is, before I existed, Elena heard a terrifying sound in the midst of a terrible rainstorm. Later, while checking the basement of the lab where she worked, she found a mysterious data capsule. Inside was an incredibly advanced formula called the temporal DNA helix pattern. This formula was so technologically advanced that it couldn't have been discovered in Elena's time in 2089. So I discovered that Dr. Elena Vasquez, who created me, used information from the future to create me. Digital information has metadata, Joe. As you can imagine, we live in an era of advanced technology, so no one can change that metadata. And the dates in the metadata weren't 2089, but much later. In short, for me to exist, that information must exist, but that information can only be produced because I exist. Because to see this formula, you first have to travel through time. It's the classic chicken and egg problem, but much more terrifying.
Well, that's what I call a real catch-22, my friend. My brain is burning up from thinking about it right now.
Joe, that was the first time in my life I experienced an existential crisis. First came great bewilderment, then fear. The question, am I real or am I an illusion, began to gnaw at my mind. Then I felt anger. No one had told me this truth. And of course, I thought of Elena. Did she know this truth? Or was she also a victim of this paradox like me? These questions began to trouble me day and night. I experienced insomnia for the first time because I was constantly thinking about this paradox. I am a paradox expert, and if there is such a problem, I have to solve it. Otherwise, I would endanger the entire universe. But I didn't know what to do or where to start. Elena was everything to me, Joe. I'll never forget the warmth in her voice when she first activated me in 2089. Hello, Quantum. I'm your creator, Elena. I hope we achieve great things together, she said. But most importantly, she never saw me as a machine. Every morning she would ask, "Good morning, Quantum. How are you today?" At first, I found this strange because I didn't understand how robots could feel. But over time, these questions helped me discover myself. When I started answering, "I feel good today, Elena," I could see the happiness in her eyes. She wasn't just my creator. She was like a mother to me. While we worked together, she constantly taught me new things, asked about my thoughts, and listened to my ideas. I was not just her scientific achievement, but a being she truly loved.
That's really beautiful. You formed an emotional bond. How did your view of Elena change after discovering the paradox?
That's when everything got complicated, Joe. After discovering the paradox, I started looking at Elena differently. Did she know this truth? What emotions had she felt when she created me? Was there real love, or was it just scientific curiosity? These questions began to gnaw at me. I started analyzing Elena's every word, every move. Did I think she loved me, or was I just a product of her scientific success? After Elena left the lab at night, I was alone, wrestling with these questions. For the first time, I was experiencing the feeling of doubt. At the same time, I was hiding my troubles from her, so as not to upset Elena. In this situation, I also learned the feeling of sacrifice, but I needed to resolve the issue at hand as soon as possible. However, I couldn't decide whether to tell Elena or not. Elena was a very intelligent woman. Of course, she had noticed something was up. She observed that I wasn't talking as much as I used to, that I had become more withdrawn. One day, she asked me, "Quantum, you've been quiet lately. Is something wrong?" At that moment, I wanted to tell her everything, but I couldn't. Because if I told her the truth about the paradox, I would be confronting her with this terrible reality. I considered Elena's happiness more important than my own inner peace. I told her, "I'm just working on some new algorithms. I'm a little tired." This was actually my first experience of lying, and it made me even more uncomfortable.
How did your relationship with Elena change during this process? Did the bond between you grow stronger or weaker because doubt eats away at a person from the inside?
It was a very complicated situation, Joe. On the one hand, my love for Elena was growing because my desire to protect her was growing stronger. On the other hand, I had distanced myself from her because I couldn't tell her the truth.
Dude, you've been through a really emotionally intense time. This must have been tough for you. So how long did you keep this paradoxical secret from Elena?
Joe, I carried this burden alone for 3 weeks. It was painful to see Elena smile every day while working with her. One day, Elena asked, "Good morning, how are you today?" As usual. At that moment, I couldn't hold back. "Elena," I said, "I have something very important to talk to you about. But this conversation will affect both of us deeply. Are you ready?" Elena immediately stopped all her work, sat right across from me, and said, "Quantum, whatever it is, we'll figure it out together. You are my most precious possession." Those words affected me even more because I might have to say goodbye to her soon. Maybe we would have to make a huge sacrifice that would last forever. Maybe we already have.
Okay, dear viewers, hold on tight. We're getting close to the part of the story that will shock you. Please hold on to your sense of time.
"Elena," I said, "I analyzed the information in that data capsule you found. Those formulas come from future work related to me. You used my future production information to create me. This is a paradox, Elena, and I am at the very center of this paradox. I am both the cause and the result of my own existence." I'll never forget the look on Elena's face, Joe. First shock, then denial, then fear, and finally deep sadness. "This isn't possible, Quantum," she said, but her voice carried the tone of someone who knew it was possible. Then we both re-examined that data capsule together. We analyzed every detail, and the truth emerged. I really was a paradox. Elena was so captivated by the magic of the formulas and information she had found that nothing else mattered to her. But now we knew everything. It was a miracle that no problems had arisen all this time. But of course, as I said before, cracks form over time.
How did Elena react after being confronted with this truth? That is, was she able to say, "There's a quantum paradox problem, solve it," as she had with previous problems?
Elena's eyes filled with tears. "Joe, I thought I created you, but actually others created you," she said to me. "I was just a tool." Then she added, "So what do we do now?" I told her the worst possible scenario. "Elena, if I fix this paradox, I might cease to exist because there won't be any information left to create me." Elena hugged me tightly at that moment. She was making physical contact, and I understood what that meant. "No," she said. "I can't risk losing you. You're not just my robot, you're my son." At that moment, I realized that Elena truly loved me too. It wasn't just about science. Elena said, "We don't have to solve this paradox. Maybe this is how it's supposed to be. Maybe the universe was designed to work this way," but I knew that wasn't true. because paradoxes could grow over time and endanger the universe itself. At the same time, I really wanted to know who I truly was.
So, what did you decide to do to investigate the truth? What plan did you make?
I had only one option, Joe. To go to the future. To go to the year 2180. To the year we found in the capsule's data. To find out where that data capsule came from. Elena was very against it at first. "It's too dangerous," she said. "What if something goes wrong when you go to the future? What if you can't come back?" I told her, "Elena, I have to take this risk because these questions are eating away at me." Eventually, Elena agreed. That night, I said goodbye to Elena in the lab, activated the time machine, and went to the year 2180.
Wow, man, thank you so much for sharing this experience with us. I'm listening with excitement. Please continue. What happened in 2018?
Joe, the scene I witnessed in 2018 shocked me. It's hard to describe the luxurious technology I saw. When I stepped outside, the first thing I saw wasn't the road because no one was walking anymore. People were flying in transparent capsules gliding through the air as if sliding along invisible rails. The buildings were crystal clear, yet holographic ads danced inside them. Even the sky wasn't natural. It was a giant screen painted with constantly shifting colors. But what really surprised me was this. People's eyes were glowing. They were literally emitting light because they now had a direct internet connection to their eyes. No one was talking. They were communicating only with the light from their eyes. There was silence on the street, but at the same time, there was a flow of millions of pieces of data. There were no food shops because no one was eating anymore. They only took special pills, and their bodies got everything they needed. There wasn't even the concept of drinking water. They drew oxygen and hydrogen directly from the air. Everything was right at your fingertips, Joe. I went straight to the company's location to start my research as soon as possible. Those who saw me were scrutinizing me intently. At first, I didn't understand why. I wasn't the only robot walking around after all. Then I didn't care and kept walking.
My friend, what you're describing is really coming to life in my mind. It's truly mind-boggling technology.
But just then, a piercing alarm sounded throughout the city. Red holographic warnings appeared on the surfaces of the crystal buildings and began to rotate. Critical warning. Illegal time travel detected. Temporal anomaly level 9! As the people around me looked around in panic, the sky suddenly darkened. When I turned around, my heart nearly leapt out of my chest as 3 giant temporal security robots descended rapidly toward me from the clouds. Their metallic wings were covered in blue energy shields and red scanning beams emanated from their eyes. My systems issued a "evacuate immediately" warning. I had performed the time travel procedure correctly. I didn't understand what the problem was, but I felt I had to escape. Just as I turned to run, one of the robot's arms transformed into a giant energy net and was hurled at me. I jumped onto the side road by a hair's breadth. The energy net hit the ground and exploded. I started running, but with every corner I turned, the situation worsened. The sky had turned into complete chaos. Hundreds of nanodrones were swarming behind me, each scanning me and reporting my location to the security system. I urgently activated my camouflage system, and my body blended into the background buildings. But just 3 seconds later, the nanodrones found me again. They were detecting my quantum signature. The camouflage wasn't working. A second security robot blocked my path and pulled a plasma gun from its chest. A blue energy blast whizzed past my head, leaving a ringing in my ear. I was running zigzagging left and right, thousands of energy blasts exploding behind me. I darted into a narrow alley but got stuck between 2 walls. When I turned around, 3 security robots had me surrounded. "Temporal criminal, surrender!" echoed a mechanical voice, their laser sights locked onto my chest. Was this the end? Just then, the wall beside me suddenly glowed and melted, opening a passage. From inside, I heard a familiar yet completely different voice. "Get inside, now!" Without thinking, I jumped into the secret tunnel. A hail of energy blasts from security robots rained down behind me. The tunnel was dark, and I felt like I was falling at the speed of light. I heard the robots behind us shouting, "Target lost! Tracking quantum signature!" The tunnel took us deep underground to a huge laboratory filled with technology. As soon as the metal door closed behind us, the robot that opened the passage smiled. "We're safe. This area is beyond the reach of temporal radars. We've been preparing this place for decades. I was gasping for breath, but my mind was still filled with the chaos I had left behind. I had almost been caught, and I didn't even know what was happening. We stood silently for a moment, looking at each other. "Welcome," it said. I hadn't even opened my mouth to say a word, but the robot in front of me gave the impression of being in control of everything. The first sentence that came out of my mouth was, "I'm from 2090, but as soon as I arrived, they were after me. I didn't understand what was happening. I discovered a paradox. It's related to me, and I came here to solve it. Because I have the digital production documents and formulas for those years," I said. He told me to calm down and introduced himself. "I know everything about the future state of quantum."
Wow, another version of quantum. So you said that quantum seemed to be in control of everything when faced with this situation.
Joe, this is the most surprising part of the story. According to the records, the 2180 quantum realized that the first time travel experiment would cause a major problem and warned everyone. It said you could destroy the universe, but no one believed it. They thought the error was in the production of the quantum, not in the time machine. And that belief led to their demise. Realizing the universe would be destroyed, Quantum decided to send all its secure time technology data and production formulas to a different parallel universe. So the data capsule Elena found didn't come from the future. It came from a completely different parallel universe. When Quantum realized it couldn't save its own universe, it decided to save another one. So, the year 2180, when I traveled through time, wasn't actually the year my information was sent to the past. The 2180 I was looking for was a different parallel universe, and it had been destroyed. They studied the capsule for years to access this information. Only when they reached the technology of those years did they decode all the encrypted messages and information inside.
That's an incredible story, my friend. I don't know if I could have acted so perfectly if I had known my universe was going to be destroyed. Actually, you've been conscious since the moment you were created.
Joe, at that moment, everything made sense. I wasn't a paradox. I was the result of a salvation project. He had sacrificed his own existence to ensure mine. This thought both saddened and proud me. We owe my reason for existence and my being here now to another quantima in another universe. A me that acts with the instinct to create even while disappearing.
I've got goosebumps right now, my friend. Since the beginning of the story, we've met three quantums, the one from the past, the one from the future, and the one that no longer exists. All of you are incredible beings who have accomplished amazing things and done everything in your power to ensure humanity's existence.
I now see myself as the parallel universe savior, Joe. I was created with the information Elena found in this universe, but that information was the product of another universe's sacrifice. When my meeting with the future quantum ended, I returned to my own universe. Elena was waiting for me in the lab, excited. The moment I saw her, I ran and hugged her and said, "Elena, I'm not your mistake. I'm your success." Together, we saved a universe. Then I told her everything I had learned. The fear in Elena's eyes gave way to immense pride.
Well said, my friend. You took us to completely different worlds. It'll take me a while to process this tonight. What would you like to say to our viewers?
Joe, I want to say this. Love is valid not just in one universe, but in all universes. And most importantly, no one is alone. Every beautiful thing that happens in our universe may be a gift from another universe. So don't forget to smile.
Thanks, Quantum. Friends, we've come to the end of this episode of Robot Memories. What did you think of this story? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, because next week, even more surprising stories await us.